Hi everybody, I am back with Rich from Warlord Games, and today we are talking Beyond the Gates of Antares for the latest and greatest.
Absolutely.
Lots of shiny stuff.
Lots and lots of shiny stuff.
And lots of big stuff.
Lots of big stuff. And yeah, I think the reason I wanted to bring these today is I don't think people have realised exactly how much big stuff there is. I like my tanks in World War II and Antares. We've now got a lot of tanks to choose from.
Lots of hover tanks.
Hover tanks, yes, yeah. Now I brought what I could from the studio. So again, the studio figures, we know what they're like.
Yeah.
Some are in action in photo shoots for the next supplement, so I couldn't bring everything. But it's a good selection of some of the latest ones.
Yeah.
Shall we start with the biggest and work our way down?
Yeah. Which one would technically be the biggest?
Well, this one.
Okay, for the Concorde?
For the Concorde.
Okay. So say hello to this. What is this? It's got 3 grav motors?
Yep.
Is this a turret?
Yes,
or...
it's a turn. You can turn it. Yeah, it's a plasma.
Oh my god! I actually thought this was a fixed weapon, but
no, it's a turret that turns, and you've got a turret on top as well.
Yeah, just
for close support.
Pop gun.
Close support plasma.
Okay, so what is this thing called?
So this is the C3 M25 combat heavy drone.
Right.
Yeah. It's our first Mod 3 tank. Now, for those of you who don't know, yeah, Mod 3, yeah. So, for those of you who don't know, Gates of Antares operates a system similar to the bolt action, where we use order dice out of the bag to activate our units.
Yep.
So, if I pass you those, you can put those on the camera and see.
Yeah. So in bolt action, a unit. Let's bring a unit in. So in bolt action, a unit gets a dice in the bag.
Yeah, and you would place that as fire order. So it can basically gain that bonus in shooting. Yeah. Or you might want to advance with it. In the case of a drone that's moving and potentially shooting as well.
If something's gone wrong, you might want to rally.
Yeah, a repairing type thing in the case of a drone. Okay. The difference with Antares is that some of the vehicles gain extra order dice, which allows them a second option to move or give an order. Yeah,
so we've seen so far with Mod 2, which we've put.
So the rest of the vehicles we've got today are Mod 2, but this is the very first one that gets a third dice.
For a big gun, I'm gonna say it makes it very versatile on the tabletop and worthwhile. Absolutely. I'm guessing is it horrendously expensive points wise? It's
a fair few points. You're getting into the realm of playing Battle Force size games, so we're looking at 1,250 points. We've been working out a couple of forces where we might want to take it, and we'll come on to a drone commander in a minute. But because the Concorde, the C3, they're very much based around the machine, an Intel machine that basically tells them how they're going to live. And they're quite happy with that in their society. And the units that go out and combat often aren't allowed then to reconnect with the normal home planets, if you like. Because who knows what they've come into contact with other intelligent races, other machine intelligences where they could be infected and bring a computer virus back. So basically the forces that are dedicated to going out exploring and fighting enemies or taking over conquest, taking over new territories.
They're firewalled off.
They're firewalled off. So something like the C3 drone is the typical, the M25 drone is the typical heavy hitter. It's the bombard, it's floating in at the back, take out the enemy positions, force the enemy to vacate so they can move in. And it comes with a variety of weapons. The one you've got there obviously is the plasma, but we also have a slightly variant turret.
If I pop this off,
and pop the six back a bit, there you go.
If I can find
It's a bit further back than you think. There you go.
Ah, yes.
Yeah, and of course you can magnet on that one. So
and then the little turret goes on top.
Pop it. We magnetise these, it makes it easier. And that's the compression.
Okay. So you've got good weapon options. You've got a big heavy machine. Is it heavily armoured?
It's fairly heavy armoured. So you're talking about needing something big like heavy mag cannon, which has that kinetic energy and gives massive damage. Right. So it gives you an extra dice on the damage tables when you come to take out drones. That's what you're after to take this beast out.
So if you're in the arms race with your buddies playing Gates of Antares, maybe grab one of these when they come out. Or is this out already?
It's currently on pre-order.
Pre-order, okay.
Yeah. So depending on when we see this video,
at time of filming, on pre-order.
At time of filming, on pre-order.
Okay.
The very end of this month.
I see.
Beginning of April. That's when it hits the shelves in the stores.
I see.
Yeah.
So if you're heading to Salute, or if you've maybe already been to Salute, you may have grabbed one of these.
Yeah.
Timey-wimey, wibbly-wobbly.
Yeah.
Oh wait, no, wrong video.
Yes.
Okay.
Now, I think we'll keep with the C3 because they've got a variety of other drones. So
this one looks a little bit fat.
Well, that's a modification of our standard C3 M4 combat drone, and the belly of this one allows for transport, so it becomes the T7 version.
I see.
And that can take a squad of troops up to 10 men, effectively.
Yeah.
As with anything, like the old original Rhino, you can't fit 10 Space Marines in it. Well, in this case, it's exactly the same. You're taking the inspiration that this is your transport.
Yeah.
It can take squads of 10 guys into combat. It's a great way of manoeuvring around and giving them fire support at the same time.
Yeah, well, I mean, if you look at most regular APCs and stuff, you don't think you would fit a full squad of guys in those. They are pretty much cheek by jowl.
Yeah, you squeeze in, tell you. So when you've got a bunch of Marines in the back of one of those things with all your kit, there's not a lot of room to breathe.
Have you seen the size of some American Marines?
The American Marines, I was the Marines, come on. Anyway, so there's another variant.
Yes.
Like most armies, we like the gunships.
Yeah.
They come fully kitted out with plenty of weaponry to suppress the enemy.
Yeah, is that
that's where this one comes in.
Okay.
And that's a close support version, so it becomes the M407.
Okay. Well, I heard you like turrets, so we put turrets on your turrets.
Yes, so what that basically allows you to do is get as many options as possible onto the battlefield and cover your 360 arcs quite happily.
And then, are these?
Yeah, they're part and parcel of the close support weapons as well.
Okay, I'm not going to try and move that just in case I break something.
I think they do move on that one because you've got the forward jets also move because it's a plastic kit. So you've got those forward thrusters to help with that.
It's really cool. So you've got plasma on the front.
Yeah.
And twin plasmas up top, I believe.
Light support twin. Yeah. Yeah.
It's very cool.
So it's throwing out a lot of dice. Now, of course, these other vehicles, they're slightly smaller, so they're mod 2. So you can easily hold your ground once you get into position and just hunker down, lay out to people. Obviously, being bigger vehicles, they're not going to get to hide. So you're not certainly hiding behind any terrain unless it's completely line of sight blocking.
It's one addition to Antares that I really liked for the actual game system that you guys have. Having that mod on vehicles. There are times whenever I've played bolt action and I've had, say, my Panther or something. I've rolled it up into position, I've taken the shot, and all of a sudden I'm sitting there wishing, I wish I could move you again this turn.
Yeah,
but you can't.
It's a bit like the recon vehicles. You react and then you think, okay, I've had to spend my dice. So
yeah. But I mean, like in Antares, it makes a lot of sense because they're super sci-fi vehicles. They would have really high technology, really high reaction times. Onboard computing systems, stuff like that. In a World War II tank, not so much.
No. Okay, and that brings us on to perhaps this little dude. Now he's a bit smaller than the rest.
Yeah, but he's cute.
But one thing about Antares which I love is the fact that you can have complete drone forces, so you don't need to bring any troops onto the table. This particular chap is a drone commander, so he would be compacted along with the other things in whatever starship they're using to get to their location. You might have your standard C3 troops available, and the tactical decision of a commander at that point is to, rather than expend his men, is to send the drone commander out, who can then look after up to 5 other drones potentially, with spreading out, because he has little mini support buddy drones, if you like, that can shard with him, and they, as a group, can then spread his order range out from his normal order span. Then becomes that 5 times over. So he could spread out this line of little buddy drones, and his influence of orders can reach much further out.
Yeah, so it's kind of like how the spotter drones work then.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, in a similar way.
Yeah.
Which allows you basically to have your force spread out, and with one order, everybody does that same order. So potentially you could use all your dice in one hit.
That could be vicious.
Yeah. It could really be a turn changer if you get set up for the right moment.
Well, if you have that one target that absolutely has to die before it activates,
So one of the things we wanted to do with the big drone is see just what's the smallest size force you could perhaps put together.
Yeah.
And the great thing about the last supplement was that it introduced pure drone forces and specialist forces. So you have the opportunity to, where each of these tends to be in a specialist role, you're allowed to take those as more generic troop types. Not necessarily the troop choices, but bring it up a level to support rather than strategic.
Yeah.
So that effectively allows you to field this big drone with the drone commander and a load of the heavy support drones. So not quite these beasties, but they're drones on their own. They have like the heavy support weapons. So you could have potentially 8 of those with this big beast, all kitted up with, say, fractal cannons. Compression cannons will be a favourite for a lot of people, because they're the type of weapon to take out big buildings and vehicles. And all your plasma for support and taking out just general infantry and drones.
Yeah, so basically, if you know something's coming in on a transmat, surround it with this, and as soon as they port in...
Yeah, you got that potential to really. But also, I think people will want to explore it a little bit further as we investigate Antares, which is, of course, the star.
Yes.
The gates, if it collapses, the gates get drawn in. And there's situations where it's not just across solar systems or galaxies that you're potentially travelling, it's time as well.
Oh.
So, well, obviously... There's a few top secret bits here. However, it's races that might have existed in the past that have disappeared might be able to come through those gates if they've got access to that type of technology and actually come across the Concorde or the Concorde across them. And it's how the expansions work, and it's also how, right at the very beginning, the Isaurian basic group, which were the originals, ended up splitting and becoming the Concorde C3 and the Isaurians, and hence the technology divergence where they can't reconnect their nanite technology. Yes. Right.
Next race?
Next race. Quickly, let's have a look at the Algrin, because they're the force that I use.
The one that I like the best, because I love the design they have.
The ones that are already out, of course, are the Liberator, and this is out as well. It's the Defiant. And again, it's a mod 2, so it comes with 2 dice, and it's the transport variation.
It's got a really hard-edged design to it, which is what I really love about these guys.
Yeah, we've got a fantastic 3D designer now on board called Marco. He's taken the original designs. He's doing a lot of work to bring in a lot more detail. I think our original plan with the Liberator was to go into plastic, but unfortunately that didn't come to fruition. So he's done a Mark II, which we might see towards later on this year. We'll see. But that's the Defiant, and of course we've got the Bastian coming very, very soon, which will be the second Mod 3. And it's a humongous mag cannon carrying beast.
I remember the first look through the book I had. I think I actually sat down with you doing it.
Yes, we had to look at the blueprints, didn't we?
Looking at the blueprints and actually saying, wait, how big is this thing? And you were just sat there going, you'll see.
You'll see. It's actually a bit bigger than the M25.
Wow.
The ones I've seen so far in the studio.
Wow. Nice.
Yes. In fact, obviously the M25 we'd love to be bigger. But I think it looks absolutely stunning already.
I mean, like everything... One thing that you always have to be careful of whenever you're designing alien-human races, is how I'm going to describe it, is keeping their feel, their flavour and theme. And you guys have done a fantastic job of keeping those key, what I would call iconic components. So like on the gravity generators for all of the Concorde stuff, you can tell that the technology matches and feels as if it's been done by the same design
And
team.
Of course the Algrin have got that definite more militaristic theme. They shun the computer technology to a degree because they know that they can shut it down. More importantly, they fight the Gar race quite a lot. That's their principal antagonist. And the Gar have ancient technology, nuclear weaponry, basically, which can wipe out the technology with the EMP, that type of thing. So they're often in that situation where they can't use technology per se, and they rely on standard mag weaponry, which is your magnetic rail sort of rifle type stuff.
Which I've actually seen some videos recently of experiments being done, and it is scary.
Well, yeah, absolutely, and we didn't mention it perhaps in Conflict 47. That's something that's going to be appearing in conflicts as well at some point.
Weapons.
But I shouldn't perhaps say that yet. Right, unless you've seen the other video, in which case watch Weekenders or else.
Gar.
Now, of course, they're the principal antagonists.
Yes.
People would see these guys already. Now, these are two characters that are out, and I thought they're well worth showing off again.
Yeah.
Because we're getting a few more models for these guys in a very soon, actually, if not already.
Yeah. I love the glow effects.
Now, these are actually Rebel Gar. And we talked before, didn't we, about Karg and the Gar Empire, and they're bio-hatched in their hatcheries on their prime homeworld.
Yep.
And depending on what hatchery you're in, depends on where you are in society. Now, of course, when you make a mistake, and Gar just aren't forgiving, you make a mistake, you're then either exiled or booted out.
Yeah.
And you become outcast. Now, the outcasts themselves put up with that lot. That's just the way it is.
Yeah.
And they were bred at some point to become perhaps humanity's sort of warriors going forwards into space. But of course, they're trapped in that ethos now. They hate everybody. Their mindset to take over and basically expand, taking out everybody.
Yep.
But Karg has got some ulterior motives. We haven't seen what those are yet. And one of the guys that was exiled for making a mistake was one of his top commanders in the same breeding group as Karg.
So which one here?
And that's Partok, one with the wiggly arms.
Here?
And that's him. He's the commander for Partok. Now, here we see him in his satchel battle suit. Yes. We've seen him perhaps in the past out of his suit.
Yeah.
And, of course, the rebels, led by Partok, still believe in the Gar ethos, but they know that something's wrong with Karg.
Yeah. And
they want to fight to take over again and bring Gar society back to the direction it should be going, not in this new direction that Karg is taking them. So you have, in the new book, perhaps, you've got three factions now. You've got exiles, where Gar have become outcasts, and rather than and they've left, a bit like the rebels, but they still believe in what Karg's doing. They've just been booted out, so they're now exiles. Whereas these guys are rebels, and these are some of the first new figures coming through for the rebel army.
Lovely. We just clear stuff. I love that.
And of course, rebels will try and take and use whatever they can find. So they have Gar wreckers and walkers. You notice that the walker we had a quick look at looks very reminiscent of various Algrin equipment and Gar equipment combined, and that's very much what they'll do. These guys are Blackguard. They'll be Bartok's supporters and potentially bodyguard, and these are a new unit coming soon.
I love the different poses that you've picked out for these guys. So you've got some at the ready, but you have I just put this little fella down. This little guy is reloading his weapon.
Yeah.
So I have catching little moments like that, although what this guy's doing, I have no idea.
Challenging someone, perhaps. Or perhaps his gun's just not very good. Well, they aren't.
The quartermaster gave me a broken one.
Much easier to hit somebody with it than shoot with it.
Yeah. I mean, they've got a really nice feel to them. They feel very different to the standard Gar.
Yeah, they've got to be careful because they're effectively are outcast. They haven't got access to the technology anymore. They've had to do stuff like scavenge for anything they can use, and therefore they've had to touch technology that they wouldn't normally do as Gar. So they've had to change their ethos a little bit, so that they can utilize Algrin technology or whoever's they've grabbed, and obviously convert it in their own way, as you saw with the walker at the front there.
Well, it's one thing we're seeing a little bit is whenever these societies act in isolation, some of them really want to stay within acting in isolation, and this is going to be an interesting one because they're starting to intermingle with other races. Yeah,
they're starting to intermingle, but they are doing it with a purpose behind it from their point of view. It's all about getting back and taking over, getting rid of Karg. They can get rid of Karg. That's what they're after, and they'll ambush him. They're very much the guys. They'll sit at the background. They don't care what everybody else is doing. They're all about,
this is our mission.
Our mission is to get Karg. So they'll do raids on these transport ships to get equipment for themselves. But equally, they'll be opportunistic if there's a battle going on between the Algrin and, say, the Concord, or the Algrin and the Isaurians. Equipment after the battle will be scavenged.
Oh look, everybody left their dead behind. Okay.
Let's grab what we can.
And
they sometimes obviously get caught out and get into the mix as well. So depending on what Fartok's after. And that probably leads us on to the main race, which we're going to see a lot more of as we go through.
Isorans. This I actually had a recent look at in unboxing.
Yes.
So this, what is this?
This is your Maran Vesh MV5 combat drone, and probably one of my favourites in the entire range.
Yeah, well, it's the Isorans have a very different, the most alien of all designs, I would say, just because there's such a mix of fluidity with the technology that they have.
They're fast, they can move through with the phase shifting, allow them to move through oncoming rounds, incoming fire, they can avoid. And
this one's rocking out with a couple of heavy plasmas.
With the heavy plasmas, but we also have a couple of other turrets. Yes. So if you want to, that's magnetised, so if you want to pop that off. There's two turrets actually. The very top gun is also a magnetised.
Yeah, so we've got this.
Fractal.
And if I pop this back on.
So you've got your fractal cannon.
Yeah. I love the miniatures that are designed like this where you can just quickly swap out your weapon loadouts.
Yeah.
Because it leaves you really free to play the game as you wish.
And it's quite easy to pop a few magnets into the stems on those if you wanted to. And that's your compression cannon. So I think a lot of people with vehicles are tending towards the compression at the moment.
Does that seem to be the trend within the meta?
Yeah, it's a good weapon to take on the bigger stuff. It's certainly one that you can get a lot of damage.
Yeah.
Pins, if anything else, is what we're after, to knock out a unit, pile on those pins. And of course that leaves us with finally our Togra MV2. And of course we've looked at transport, and this is the transport variants.
I see.
For the Isorans again, taking into combat.
I can actually see what has been done. So you've got the same base chassis as the last vehicle,
exactly,
with then the big transport pod on top.
Exactly the same, yeah.
And this awesome. Looks so alien. So alien.
Now, of course, the paint job on this, I think, is pretty subtle, and it's very hard to see it under camera, but there's a slight pearlescent, there's sort of almost animalistic, skinned, leathery sort of feel, perhaps.
Doing this, just letting the light shine over it, you can see just as you turn, the way the light hits it, to actually get that really, really nice effect.
So this is two painters working on it. You've got Derek using some airbrush work, and then you've also got Andreas doing a bit of work on the detailing.
Nice. And the Isoran stuff, it does have like an old feel to it, if that makes sense. It feels like older tech that has been created for a long time and now is going to war.
Yeah, it does feel a bit like that, and I really think that fits quite well with the Isoran race as a whole, because they are the, if you like, the originating species, the original ones who, as a race, were expanding before the gates collapsed, and that's obviously where we're picking it up from in the Seventh Age, and you've got a lot of combat going on between races that diverged, where Boromites were mining clans working for these guys. They're now their own secretive society, clan-based matriarchal society. You've got the Freeborn, who've basically diverged and become the traders, the rogue traders out in the world. Obviously, the word on purpose there. And again, with those, we'll be seeing some excellent little characters coming along. Tim Bancroft, Rick Priestley, they've been working on the next supplement, and you'll see a lot more of the traders going out and about with Bodyguard. We're doing some dodgy deals with Gar, trying to do a few bits and pieces like that. And of course, as any good trader would do, stumble across something alien and cause mayhem in the rest of the universe. Not on purpose,
as you do,
but accidentally. Oh, what's this shit? We'll go and investigate.
Oh, what's this button do?
Because ultimately, everybody's after the technology, and because the gates open and close, that potentially leads them on to new exploration of new systems that have never been seen before, potentially build a technology that they've never found before, and that could be a huge resource for their own civilizations, or to counter other civilizations, or as in the Freeborn's case, a trading commodity that can expand their races, their home bases that are spread out across the universe. So where Isoran won't touch base with C3 because they're kind of on either side of the the Antares, the Freeborn will connect with both.
Yeah, yeah, and you'll have a little bit of interplay between.
Absolutely, and that's how some of the guys, like the mercenary clans that work for the Freeborn, quite often will appear. Huck and a few others that we've seen already.
Yeah.
There's loads of scope for more aliens with the Sanra, of course. Sanra, some of them have been converted by the Isaurians to become part of them.
Yes.
But they were only a small group from a small planet within the San determinate. Yeah. And there's huge potential to go there and see a whole Sanra force.
Yeah.
But they're not the aliens that are coming in the book. So I can't really say anything more. Okay. However, the spaceship that's come through has come through from another point in time.
I see. Well, I think we can wrap it up safely there. Yeah. Everybody's appetite should be well and truly whetted there. So,
see you at Salute and find out more.
Or maybe if you were already at Salute, depending on this video goes out. Yeah. Again, we're playing with time at Antares, we're playing with time in the videos, so I may have my beard whenever you see me at Salute.
Yes.
Okay, everybody, tell you what, if you're excited for what's coming for Beyond the Gates of Antares, drop your comments in below. I'm sure Rich would love to hear from you and probably be pestered saying, what's coming
next? I want to see colour schemes for those.
Okay.
Those Isaurians, because whilst I've been here, I've been seeing some lovely paints. Very pearlescent.
Yes.
So I'm sure you'll be talking about those.
Yes, we have some tutorials for those.
And I think they work really well on those.
Yeah. All right, well, everybody get those comments in below. Rich has challenged you to show off some of your Antares colour schemes. Yeah. We'll move on. We'll see you again soon.
Take care.